Welcome to At Issue. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm H. Wayne Wilson. Recycling is a term that's been around for a long time, but it's been a very slow-growing concept for many communities. We are starting to make significant progress in that arena, and we're going to talk about the successes so far and some of the challenges that lie ahead for recycling in Central Illinois. And we're going to do that with, number one, Matt Coulter, who is the Vice President of Sales for PDC. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And Michael Brown is here. Michael is the Executive Director of the Ecology Action Center based in Bloomington. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And also with us is Karen Rathel. Karen is the Sustainability Director for Peoria County. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I think the first question probably should be, why should we recycle? I know this is a question that's been around for a long time, but has the answer to that changed over time? Why do we recycle? Why should we?
I think the answer has surely evolved over time, but the basics are still there. We're talking about resource conservation. We're talking about preventing pollution in terms of avoiding the unnecessary pollution associated with the extraction of raw materials as opposed to simple reprocessing of existing materials through recycling. Reduction of greenhouse gas emissions through avoiding putting natural materials that would generate methane into landfill, economic benefits, job growth.
And to demonstrate the evolution that we have referred to is that it wasn't too many years ago that a county wouldn't have a sustainability director. Why is it that the counties now, or many counties do, have sustainability directors?
Well, I think this also evolved from the state's initiative in 1988. It was that they did a Solid Waste Planning Act that said, put the onus actually on the counties to do solid waste planning for their communities. So that's where I think it started off as some of these larger counties, especially when they had the funding available, to have these recycling coordinators at the time, to also try and alleviate some of the pressure put on the landfills.
Later on in the program, we want to address the issue of how Europe is different from America in terms of counties. You're talking about governmental bodies being the spear of involved with sustainability, whereas in Europe, there seems to be more of the manufacturer needs to carry that. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to turn to Matt and just talk about, when we say recycle, right now, many communities go to what's called a single-stream recycling process. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah, so, back, I would say in 2005, at least for our company in Central Illinois, we started where there was no sorting at the curb. Years prior to that, most of the recycling was done with source separation at the curb, which collection time took a lot longer, and you only had certain amount of product that was being recycled. Today, with changes at recycling facilities and it being so much more efficient, you're able to do no sorting at the curb and allow the machines and people to do most of that when it gets to the endpoint destination of the recycling center. So it actually has helped collection time and decreased collection cost. Unfortunately, on the back end, it's actually increased collection, cost, or the processing cost at the facilities. But I'd say the biggest cost is at the curb. And curbside collection, more people want it, and they don't want the hassle of sorting out the recycling. So it's been a big benefit to the consumers and residents.
To give our viewers a better idea of single stream, videographer Todd Pilon and I had an opportunity to go down to the PDC/area recycling center in Pekin. Let's take a look at that.
Here at our facility, the trucks have to come into the lot. They weigh on the scale. The gals in the office collect the weight. They come back around here and they dump on the tipping floor. The guy in this skid steer loads the metering bin right here. All right, and then that material goes up and goes through the pre-sort first. Then it goes across our screen and multiple things are pulled out at different places. You have 11 people that run this system from the beginning to the end of it, that are pulling out all the contaminants out of the paper or the plastic, depending on which side they're on. And it is very labor intensive because of all the materials, the contaminants that are thrown in the recyclable. A lot of household items, electric cords that we've seen, small appliances, just several different types of things that, you know, are not labeled as single stream. On the fiber side, you have what's called the screen that travels all the material up and over. The fiber goes up and over, the plastics bounce back and goes under it, and that's where it splits. So the fiber side continues on where the guys can pull out anything they can get out of the paper side or the fiber side. And the rest of it goes to the opposite side, which is the plastic or the container side. And there they pull out, first is pulled out, the tin cans are pulled out by a magnetic drum. So they go up the belt, the tin cans stick to a magnet, they go around, they drop in a hole, and then it falls off onto a slide, drops down a chute to a conveyor belt, and the guys on that side pull out anything out of the plastics they can get out as far as paper-wise, all right? Anything paper, whole glass bottles, pieces of foil, things that are contaminants in the plastic, they pull that out, and then that drops off into a bin. Once those bins get filled up, then they push them out with a skid steer. All the grades of material are pushed out of the bins and put on that system and baled through the enterprise baler. It is has its own onboard computer, so you don't have to be up there to run it. You just set it for the grade that it is, and it'll bale it. Right now, our cardboard is our high dollar item, all right, that we get the most of. We also have mixed paper or newspaper that we get a lot of volume of, so that's a high dollar item for us. We also bale office paper, sorted office waste, if you will. That's a good commodity, but we don't get much of it.
One of the responsibilities for Matt Coulter is the Recycling Center for PDC, and we saw some contaminants, and we heard Tony Lamberson talk about contaminants, things that don't belong in the recycling stream. How difficult is it for you to handle those kinds of things?
Yeah, again, going back to single stream, we've made it easy on the collection, and it's been very easy on the consumer to recycle more items, and it allows them to be a more avid recycler. But the problem is now the industry is faced with educating the public on what to throw in and what not to throw in. And let's just use glass as an example. Glass is, yes, it can be recycled, and there are outlets for glass. The problem is the glass is very hard on the equipment that you see in the video. So it takes up a lot of maintenance cost. It can hurt the employees on the sort line. There's a lot of other factors that just the general consumer does not realize takes effect. I think the other thing, you talk about plastics. Plastics, yes, and all of these products, they're a commodity. So every month the price of these commodities change. But over the last 2 to 3 years, diesel fuel pricing and just oil pricing in general has been a pretty good rate for everybody. I don't think anybody's been complaining about gas or diesel fuel pricing in the Midwest or even in the U.S. economy. So that's been a positive thing. The negative part of that is that the market for plastics has been one of the all-time lows in the last decade. So there are pluses and minuses to all these things, but right now, most of the recyclers in the Midwest and even in the U.S. on 3 through 7 plastics, there's really no market for. So most of those products currently actually end up in a landfill, contrary to the popular belief, because there's no market for it. So if you have a market and you can get rid of it, you're able to move those products. But unfortunately, if we don't get that education back to the public, there are contaminants, and the big one is plastic bags from grocery stores. And you're seeing a lot of regulation come into play in different states, and you're starting to see it a little bit in Illinois. I think there was a bill recently that did not pass, but I think you're going to see it happen again. But plastic bags cause, again, maintenance issues. There's no market for it because plastics right now are depressed. But it just kind of ebbs and flows with what the economy's doing too. So it's a challenge.
Michael, because at the outset of this program you talked about the reasons why we should recycle.
Sure.
And yet here we have contrary information where it might be more profitable to just make glass out of the raw element, sand, and it might be more profitable just to, in terms of some of the other products like plastics, to use the petroleum.
Sure.
How do you combat this?
So a couple ways. One way, I mean, as we're looking at the needs for our communities, bigger picture for waste management, and right now in in McLean County we're working on finishing up a new 20-year solid waste plan. And so this is the kind of thing that we're doing, is looking kind of big picture. And we know that the commodity values over time will fluctuate. There will be high points, there will be low points. Those values will evolve somewhat as well. The technology will evolve, and so things will ultimately, balance out somewhat. And so we know that even when things are depressed, they're not going to be depressed forever. Or if they are, we'll react and we will fix that, systemically, if not locally, regionally or nationally. And so there's that. But then as well, we can look at the issue of the economies of simply landfilling versus recycling. And so even if we don't have all of the benefits of recycling all the time, it's going to, in most cases, be more cost effective than landfilling.
Well, let's address that particular issue, because in McLean County there is a significant problem. Your landfill has at most a year of life left.
Correct.
What happens next?
Sure. And so as it stands right now, I mean, it would appear to be a crisis. McLean County's last remaining landfill is approaching full capacity and will close likely early part of 2018. So yes, where does the waste go? Actually, it is no crisis in terms of capacity, in that there are other landfills within fairly reasonable distance in central Illinois. And so as things stand right now, both the City of Bloomington and Town of Normal have a waste contract with Republic Services. And so if the landfill closed tomorrow, that contract actually has a provision that Republic Services would continue to collect and dispose of that waste, and they would most likely just take it over to Pontiac, to the Livingston County landfill, where there's decades of capacity left. And so whether it's that or some other alternative provider in the future.
On the surface, though, that doesn't, when we talked about education and wanting to tell the public you need to recycle, recycling's important. Well, we've got decades of landfill space up in Livingston County. Okay, yeah.
A mixed message?
Yeah, a mixed message.
Yes, and so that's dealing with the immediate problem of the actual waste that we do need to dispose of, that we do need to landfill, that we currently can't recycle or are not recycling. But the new 20-year solid waste plan that we're finishing up for Bloomington, Normal, and McLean County is actually, it's somewhat motivated by this new factor, the fact that we will be henceforth exporting all of our waste that needs to be landfilled from the community, and that will ultimately have some additional cost associated with that. And so that being a key driving force, the new solid waste plan is much bolder than what we've seen in the past, and looks to more assertively recycle more and waste less.
Peoria County, Karen, has life left in its landfill.
Yes.
The current phase, landfill number 2,
Right.
should
be about full capacity around 2022.
But
we've already had phase number 3 gone through the whole siting process. They are starting construction in a minimal amount that they have to do in order to keep the permit active. So it's ready to go, and we feel confident that at 2022, when landfill number 2 is at capacity, number 3 will open up. And along with that comes a great amount of benefits that come to not only local government, but also to the community as well. They're going to get a lot of extras, so we're excited about that.
But is that mixed message again? Is that, well, we got another, landfill number 3 is coming on board, I don't have to worry about this?
Well, yes and no. We've talked about how landfills, one, benefit the community in that counties do receive funding from those landfills. So those counties that host a landfill, they get funding to provide those special programs, those recycling events and programs that are available to everybody, but not only in Peoria County, but also those that come into our community. So that's a benefit. And like I had talked to you guys earlier about, Michael and I are in the business of putting ourselves out of business. So we don't get the funding if we do a better job of keeping money out of the landfill. So that's one of those catch-22 items that we're facing also.
I made reference to earlier that it's a little bit different in Europe, where the manufacturer, more of the onus is on them than on government here in America. Can you explain, I mean, it probably goes back to the origins of recycling in Europe, but do we have an opportunity to change that here in America?
We definitely do, and we're working on it right now. I believe some of us are members of both the state but national product stewardship councils, and so these are organizations where collaboratively, waste industry professionals, local solid waste coordinators, manufacturers, retailers are working to find solutions where we're looking at the full life cycle of any given product and trying to provide for that and plan for it from the get-go. And one good, bad example is e-waste in Illinois. And so there's been multiple attempts now at the state level to provide for an effective e-waste recycling program. It's had its ups and downs. There's actually a new solution that's going to go into effect in 2019 that a lot of us are very optimistic that this will better address the real needs and real cost of properly disposing of e-waste, which contains some hazardous materials.
Well, and that brings up another issue, Matt, that we've gone to SingleStream, which has been beneficial. The public, hey, it's easier now to recycle certain items. But then I sit there with my CRT, my old television set. I've got batteries, I've got paint, and I don't know where to take all this. Well, I can take my dehumidifier down to such and such, and I are we headed, is this new
Product stewardship.
product stewardship, is that where we're going? Is that we can just take everything to one location eventually?
I think eventually that's definitely where it's headed. I think, unfortunately, that's not going to happen for probably at least the next 5 to 10 years, at least in the Peoria County region. When we open our new landfill, which is Peoria City County Landfill number 3, there will be a household hazardous waste drop-off, and there's going to be drop-off for other items too. So you're going to be able, as a Peoria County resident, to take advantage of dropping off basically all of those materials: TVs, CRTs, CFLs, paint, you name it. You're going to be able to take it out there. So that is pretty exciting, and I think you're going to see that trend happen more and more. I wanted to get back to the mixed message, comment that we were talking about. I think it's actually kind of ironic that, yes, these landfills are closing, but they were expected to close much earlier. Mm-hmm. So I do think recycling is having a long-term benefit, and you're going to see it continue more and more. Just the social means of what people expect of themselves, what these kids are learning in college, what they're learning in high school and grade school. You're seeing their education on recycling. It is like part of what they do. When I was growing up, you threw everything in the trash. Today, they look for the recycling bins. So I think you're actually seeing it change over time, and that's why our landfills are lasting longer than what they did in the past. But also the industrial side, the commercial businesses, they're recycling more and more, and they're being, pressure is put on them by their board of directors and their mission statements and plans. You're actually, I think, going to see landfills last longer because they are being forced to recycle so much more. And it's not just general, commercial, residential recycling. There's so many more options available today for them, and they're expected to do that.
Some communities are, did you want to add to that?
I wanted to echo that. In McLean County, so I've been in my role for 10 years now. When I started this job, the McLean County landfill had an estimated capacity of 5 or 6 years left. So each year we get a capacity report of the landfill, and each year it still said 5 to 6 years until 5 years ago. And then it finally started declining. And so yes, through these efforts and through great successes that we've had in Bloomington Normal, Bloomington just hit a participation rate in their curbside program of 80%, which is an all-time record for our community. And so we've had great successes through education, outreach, improved services.
And I don't know that anyone can answer this question, but are landfills is that material permanently buried and the only thing we get off of it is methane, or can we go back and
I mean, honestly, it's a great comment. I'm glad you brought that up. I've had many discussions with different recyclers, and I'm talking more metal recyclers, that long-term they do think they will mine landfills. And I think it probably will happen. It will not happen in my lifetime. But I think in the future you will see them mine landfills for valuable commodities. There will be a need for some of that material because the raw materials aren't going to be there like they are today.
I want to go back to the education aspect of this because you're talking about educating school children. Young people tend to be, I assume, more recycle oriented than people of my age. In Des Moines, Iowa, what they have done is they have audits. They have curbside recycling, but they audit the items that are in there. I don't know how often. And if that bin has items in it that don't belong, they don't pick up that recycle bin. Is this a good idea, or does this discourage recycling?
Well, I mean, and you're going to see this even more often in West Coast communities where the landfills have long been closed and they have to export their waste even states away. And so the cost of landfilling is prohibitively expensive, so they go to great lengths to encourage and even enforce recycling. And so I think it definitely has a place in those communities. I think here in the Midwest, I think it would be less likely to be, well received at first. But I do think that could be effective in encouraging people to reduce the contamination, as that is definitely a growing issue.
We've had some communities come on board. Tremont recently has come on board. Is there incentive for communities? You talked about this is government oriented. It seems to be in the past. Is there incentive? Is the state doing something to incentivize this, or? And I know this when I say, is the state doing something to incentivize, everyone goes, yeah, sure, H.
Yeah, sure. Actually, they do. They have a great recycling grants program. Unfortunately, it's kind of been tabled until they get a budget, but they have programs available and they have funding available for communities, for businesses to enhance recycling programs and implement technology to make those economies of scale so that they can take in more materials and be more efficient at it. So I think that's one thing that communities can look for. We have stuff locally that we provide to communities. We can try and provide some local dollars. We've helped the city of Peoria. We provided funding for carts so that more families in city of Peoria would have curbside recycling available to them and their families.
So far we've been talking about electronics and glass and things of that nature. What about food waste? Is there any program for food waste where we can recycle food waste? I'm not talking about the backyard compost heap.
So Bloomington Normal does have a commercial program for restaurants, for institutions to recycle their food waste. It is a partnership between Illinois State University and their farm out in Lexington and Midwest Fiber, who acts as the hauler. And so yeah, they provide a toter very similar to the recycling toters that we use for curbside, and yeah, they will collect a couple times a week that full of food waste, take it out, it does get properly composted.
But that isn't at the residential level at this point?
It's not at the residential level. However, in our new 20-year solid waste plan, we are looking strongly at food waste as a big priority, in that it is a significant volume of material that we're not really sufficiently addressing. And so to expand the commercial program, but also eventually provide perhaps for a residential drop-off program, as curbside collection for residents of food waste is likely not to be cost-effective in the Midwest for a very long time.
Isn't there a Bartonville facility?
Yes, Better Earth, or LHF Compost, is a facility outside of Bartonville that does accept not only landscape waste, but they're also accepting food waste, and they get a lot of materials from local industrial facilities. And so they're taking materials, and they've been, permitted through the state to accept more than the 10% allowable through those programs. So I know that the city of Peoria's yard waste materials go out to their facility. So, and then people can go out there and get rid of their materials that on stormy nights.
You know, just on recycling facilities available to Peoria County, even McLean County, you know, you think about our region, Central Illinois, people and our residents do not know how lucky and fortunate we are. We've got SingleStream Recycling facilities in McLean County, also in Tazewell County. We have wood recycling opportunities basically all over Central Illinois, you know, for people that want to recycle clean wood. We now have, you know, electronic recyclers in Peoria County, and in McLean County, I believe there's also those options. So the residents really have many different outlets. They can get rid of all different. You got the food waste with the LHF. They're very fortunate to have what they have in Central Illinois. You do not see that in most communities.
And on that note, a positive note, we've run out of time. So let me say, the half hour went fast. Let me say thank you to Matt Coulter, who's the Vice President of Sales for PDC, and to Karen Rathel, who is a Sustainability Director for Peoria County. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you.
And Michael Brown is the Executive Director of Ecology Action Center over in McLean County. Thank you as well for joining us on At Issue. Next time, please join us again. We're going to be talking about changes along Peoria's riverfront. A lot of things happening. We'll take a comprehensive look at what Peoria's riverfront might look like in the near future. Join us on the next At Issue.